Hi, class. One thing I also want to stress, designers and artists are all about inspiration. And I always find myself wanting to go by the magazine rack, magazine part of the bookstores and things like that, and always looking for things. And there's some great publications out there. I just happened to pick this one up. Art of Watercolors. Again, looking at flowers. And I really like the technique, this really loose style that this artist has. And so it's always good to look through these things. Not that you can afford a lot of magazines, but once in a while something comes up. You know, we're working on skies later, and we'll do some things. But in this publication, it's a lot of publications will actually show you sort of their step-by-step process. And this is Field of Flowers here. And again, there's step one, where they've got the dark area around here. They've sort of set this up, but they've let a large patch of white to come through, because this is going to happen here. Now, when you read, I'll give you a hint though, when you read these, sometimes the watercolor artists are actually mixing some mediums meaning some other types of paints. Sometimes they'll use a gouache. Gouache is actually sort of a thick watercolor that goes over the top of watercolor. But in this class, we're gonna stay pure to the watercolor as its own medium, okay? I'm gonna show you a few tricks, but not everything that cheats and, basically can paint over watercolors. The whole idea is to use watercolors as its natural medium. But we can easily do this. And so I'll put this to the side. And what we'll do, I'm just gonna put a flower here, play with this. And what I'm gonna do, my water, let's see here. Make sure it's clean, because you don't wanna be mixing. It's easy to have dirty water, and that'll pick up. So we're gonna do this light pink kind of build up to a red flower, and make sure your water is clean, okay? If you got a little bit of green left over, it'll go green, okay? So what we're gonna take a little bit of water, and I'm just gonna make the shape, this four. See, there's a little, actually green came through on my pin there, on my, make sure I got to clean my brush better. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take a little bit, just do a little wet process here. Go to my pink, make sure I add a lot of water. Just sort of make this. And what I really like about doing flowers is the fact that each one's perfect and each one's different, which is kind of an interesting analogy, right? So we're gonna put this in here. Leave as much white, but this pink is working out pretty good. I'll add a little more pink in here to the outside. And as I mentioned before, you can actually sort of pick up your paper and you can move the color around a little bit. But now we're gonna see if we can't actually add a little more red to it. Just sort of blend this in. And I am thinking there are different leaves. And sort of the magic of water. And I'm going to sort of like bring this down. Usually there's sort of a center of a flower. Just going to let it sit like this and see what happens here. Again, the magic of watercolor. I try to get so we got this pink, we got our white, sort of the highlight area. Got the red. They actually, in the drawing here, they bring a little purple in, just a little light purple, just to give it a little more color. Yeah, part of being a painter is you're sort of painting the emotion of something. So just a little purple here towards the bottom, almost like a shadow. Okay, and then leave it. Okay, we're just gonna see how that dries, okay? The other thing you can do, and that's sort of a wet brush of a flower. It's interesting, sort of a dry brush of a flower, which is kind of fun. And I'm gonna make sure I don't use as much water on this one. There we go. Let's get a little closer here. over here. So now I'm just gonna actually just sort of just quickly put in, like, say, 4 leaves to a flower, kind of like this. Okay. Now I'm gonna leave it. That's it. I'm not gonna put any more. I just put all the 4 little dabs. So I could literally just do. This is sort of a quick flower technique. There's a flower. Okay. Not sure what the species is, but again, the idea is could I actually make. Oop, thinking about leaves there. I could even maybe draw the outside of it a little bit. But just putting in this and leave, there's my petals. Okay, so we just leave those, let those dry. Another interesting flower I discovered is on the side of the road. It was real interesting. It was this sort of a 4-blade flower. It was kind of interesting in that it was purely white. And I thought, well, to do a white, let's see, get some green over here. I thought to do a really white flower would be neat, is just to do the outside. So the flower was really, it was these 4 petals, kind of like this. Okay. And everything around it was dark. So sometimes your flower may just be just the paper itself. And you're not even painting the flower, but you're just actually painting everything around it. In fact, I'll leave that in there as part of the leaf. So there's our flower, but we're not painting the flower. We're not even going to touch the flower. The flower is the paper. See that? So that becomes actually another one of the disciplines of watercolor. Is maybe your subject, maybe your subject is actually just the paper itself. So that's a good exercise. See if you can just actually paint around. Now, the other thing is, you can always turn your paper upside down too, or sideways. I might even put a little feeling of like there's leaves in the background here. There we go. Let me put a little stem in here like this. Maybe a couple of leaves. Things from the other flowers that are behind it, maybe. There we go. Just a little bit of black right there, just a little bit. Yeah. So in other words, in this technique, the flower is the paper, and I'm not going to touch it. Just everything around it. Okay. Yeah. Then we'll come back. Let's see how this is. This is starting to dry now. This is actually looking pretty good. I can come back with a little bit of red. Now, let's go back to these. So these are my sort of impressions of flowers, right? And I'm going to give those a little bit of a, let's see, maybe a little too green. let's see here. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna back up just a little bit here. There we go. I'm gonna go for a little more of a brown stem on these. Yeah, a little darker brown. So I'm just gonna connect them with just a couple little things. There we go. So there's a couple, there's a stem. Oops, don't need two there, but yeah. So there's my little stems. I could put, again, back to that technique we did with the petals, where we just use, let's see, a bright green. Oh, here's a bright green. And remember that technique, we just sort of push down the tip and then push down and then pick back up again. See that? There. And again, I think that's so real simple stuff. So this one, oh, and sometimes in the middle of flowers you have pistils, they call, but little areas that come up and in the center of the flower, and we're just gonna put a couple little details of orange. This one kind of got a little dark. Let me go back and add a little more, a little dark, little red to that one. But you know, I like techniques that are quick and fast. And again, just a real quick impressions of flowers. This is starting to dry real well. Let's take a look at this. I'm not gonna add a lot of water to this, but I'll go back to my red. And we're just gonna add a little bit of maybe towards the center. Just a little bit here. Maybe a little bit of water. Maybe just let it float back up. Look at sort of a second layer of water wash that comes in. Let's do this just a little bit. It'll fade in. There we go. And then, yeah, this is sort of like the magazine, like this. So, and they added a little bit of warm in the middle, like there's the center. And we'll do that too. So as you can see, like with most of the flowers or leaves, you know, they bend over. There's a light area, there's a dark area. So that's our flowers. This is like the top is folded towards you. It's very light. And we're going to try this little bit of this warm center here, just a little bit. Just a little bit. As if there's, there we go. Yeah, so you can get close to that. There, so I just put a little bit in the center, left it white. I like this nice, very light, sort of blends into the paper up here at the top of the flower. And I added some contrast as the flowers started picking up a little bit of a, again, you got this light to dark, again, that contrast. So we've got a flower, and let's see, we'll give that a stem as well. Again, always think about, always like to go smaller. Last time we did our trees, everyone made their trees a little thick. So let's just try and keep them maybe really thin like this, and kind of whispery. Okay. So we've got leaves, flowers. This one's starting to dry now a little bit. See, the other thing too about doing watercolor, especially outside, is if you wait long enough, this side will start to dry. Do some leaves. This flower up here, actually, I'm just gonna leave that alone. And there we go. So give it a shot. So remember, use your full width, the full sort of character of your round brush, where you push down, and you get that nice thin to thick. And try some colors, and don't forget that sort of makes you, you look at things around you, look at real life, look at nature, and maybe even look at some inspiration, some magazines and publications around you. Okay, good luck, and we'll see you in class. Have a good weekend or good week.